Hello, welcome back. We're going to be doing Warhammer 3rd Edition, taking place around the Sea of Claws today between Dark Elves and High Elves. This is Igor. He's quite a persuasive con man, and he managed to come across a sheepskin that allows him to transform his appearance into that which his victim most likes. So he appeared before the High Elf court in this guise and managed to convince the king or the lord there to transform all of his wealth into something called cryptocurrency. So Igor left with quite a lot of real gold. He headed east along this area here along the coast. Now the best way to travel is to wait for the tide to go out, and there's these very stable mud flats perfect for traversing with a wagon. As long as you get back up the cliff before the tide comes in, you're okay. So he was traveling along this way. Now, Lord Fenley, the High Elf, thought, I'm not sure about this. So he sent his scout, Prince Flashheart, out to keep an eye on things. And sure enough, he was attacked by some Chaos Harpies. Someone had summoned this host, and he was driven off. It could only mean that there was danger lurking. And sure enough, Igor soon found himself in a bit of danger. However, he still was a fast talker, and assuming a new guise, Igor began making up more and more fantastical stories to try to get himself out of this predicament. They were very, very imaginative, and the effect on his captors.
Well, how about that?
Lord Fenley turned out his entire garrison and force marched down the coast in order to stop this abduction. Unfortunately for him, the Dark Elves had reinforced by sea, and so a great battle was brewing along the coastline. There was some negotiations, but the terms were a bit harsh.
We shall not stop our fight till each one of you lies dead.
Igor began to question his life choices. However, he was able to slip away through one of the gaps in the cliffs during the upcoming battle. This terrain is based on Hopewell Rocks in Canada, and here's my recreation of it. It is just a mud flat. There's the gap back in the left at the edge of the cliffs. You can see it is just basically a cage match. Here's a flyover. Apologize for this camera. I got some really cheap cameras offline, and they're not the best. But there's just impassable terrain and open terrain. It is just a complete cage match of a fight. Now that gap is a terrain objective that you're going to try to want to capture. So here's the armies. First, the Dark Elf army, done with Army Builder 2. A lot of points, but these are expensive troops. Here's what the model count breakdown is. I think the real strength of the Dark Elf army is they have more options in cavalry and more numbers of cavalry, and they're better. They also suffer from hatred, which can be a good thing or a bad thing if they lose control. Here's the High Elf list. Again, just a general list there. Their strength, really, they have a lot of elite archers, ballistic skill 5, elite foot troops. For the most part, their cavalry is basically medium cavalry, but one of the strengths that they have is in the number of skirmishers they can take, including mounted skirmishers, whereas the Dark Elves have very poor options in skirmishers. In this video, I'm going to get down in the weeds a little bit about deployment tactics and things like that. So, 3rd edition, you're going to put your slowest stuff down first. The dice indicate where the edge of the deployment zone is. And so the artillery is obviously going to go down first. Then your heavy infantry. Now the Dark Elves have the first deployment, so they're going to drop their stuff down. Notice they're not right at the edge of the deployment zone, so they're going to be able to fit in some faster troops, either infantry or cavalry, later on when they appear. The High Elves have to deploy their stuff too, which is pretty much all their heavy infantry. Notice that they have two-handed swordsmen on the left side of the line. They're expecting the enemy cavalry to be down there. They have a -2 to the enemy armor save. They're really good for stopping cavalry. The other 3 units all have spears, which gives them an initiative bonus. So when they go up against the Dark Elf infantry, they're going to be able to go first. Really good layout. So they drop a single line of crossbow all the way across the front. This is a pretty important decision. You can choose to become passive at this point and just stand there and shoot the enemy as they approach. But they could have dropped their cavalry up there and then went with a more offensive attack and just ran across. But they're going to put their crossbowmen up front to screen their guys. This pretty much forces the hand of the High Elves because they can't have those crossbows going into their heavy infantry. Here's a deployment zoom in, and I've colored the location of the missile troops. You see the repeaters on the right. They're actually out of range. And the elves have two groups of skirmishers, so they're very well screened. Balance of power in their favor. Here's the infantry. The witches are on the right near their cauldron. The unit on the left is actually Merchant Company, both infantry and missile. I give the balance of power to high elves again. They should completely dominate in an extended exchange of volleys. Here are the cav deployments. Both of these armies tend to operate best as a counterpuncher. You set up a missile line and then you shoot the enemy to pieces as they approach you, and then you just counterpunch them. Now that they're facing off against each other, they pretty much have developed the same deployment. So this is going to require a little finesse. The Dark Elves have to figure out what to do. They got a bit of a standoff here. And I think it's only reasonable that since you're outpaced in the missile fire range, you might as well go in and try to engage in melee. Yeah, a bit of a gamble, but you might as well just get it over with and go for it. They are just going to have to take their lumps and move forward. So this was their first turn up to here. And then in the reserve phase, it was pretty much more of the same. They went from here to here. This was actually has one huge advantage because they've moved the battle line up to about the center, and they've given themselves a really nice big rally zone in the rear. But a gap is beginning to open up between the light infantry and heavy infantry because the heavy is slowed down by their armor. They've also outpaced the zone of their war author. Elves are content to be passive. They pull back a little bit, going to let the hammer fall against their dragon. And then it's mostly just a lot of missile fire. This is the first casualty of the game. The cavalry shoots over and takes out one of their Dark Elf opponents. Otherwise, they're just going to shoot down the line, take out a bunch there, no test, take out a bunch there, no test. Take out a bunch down here, which causes a test, which they pass because the general's right nearby. You have no reserve moves, and in the magic phase, the wizard's going to rest and get one of his points back that he used to summon the dragon. Okay, turn 2, they're going to continue more or less their headlong rush straight forward. The cavalry's getting in a position to attack, and they're closing the range a little bit so that the guys with the repeaters, even though they move, they get to fire. And the repeaters start to really find the range and do some damage. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Ouch. That'd be 12 saves on Mr. Elite Archers. Alright, lads. Let that light armor do its thing. Save 3. You took 9. No. Yeah, you saved 3. Save 3. Lose 9. Pretty much the back rank has been killed, except for one guy. So that was pretty brutal right there. They kept that unit out to pass its test. In the reserve phase, an interesting situation is coming up in the cavalry corner up here, where that unit of skirmisher high elves is backed up against the coast. They withdrew at an angle, and they're going to have to be chased off. So that's going to take this one unit out of action for a little bit. There's still a 3-2 disparity in cavalry units on this corner. Overall, at the end of turn 2, their fast stuff is within charge range, and no units have broken as of yet. So pretty good so far. Skirmishers can't charge formed. They're up against the back. They got to do something. They have to break them. They're going to try to also break nearby units and cause a panic test on this particular cavalry unit. So we'll see what happens. Charge. They are going to charge. And the target of their charge is going to be this unit here. They're going to attempt to break them. This is a heavy cavalry unit. This is a light cavalry unit, but they'll have the advantage of charging. They're going to have to get in here, and they won't be able to hit with all the models. This is a really good fight for them, and this will cause panic tests on many nearby units that are out of range of the general. Charge. So here was a decisive moment that you might not think of. The dogs failed their fear test when the dragon charged them, and they fled backwards, pursued by the dragon, who had to complete his charge. That fight should have been a melee fight that took place right here. The dragon caused fear. The dogs don't have a standard. They were probably going to automatically break. It would have caused rout tests, or panic tests, to at least these 3 units, all out of range of the general's bonus, and possibly these 2 as well. That dragon could have panicked that unit and ran the entire group of them off the table. But the only silver lining is the dragon is the closest unit to the dogs right now, so they can't rally. This cavalry unit is committed to the charge because it declared at the beginning of the turn. Their odds just got a lot worse because the dragon's not helping them, and now the entire left side of the line is uncovered. Archers, do they want to charge? I don't know. They're going to get standing fire and be decimated. You better just shoot it out with them. Over here, shoot it out if you can. Down here we got skirmishers. You should take this guy out. Now, this unit is declaring a charge against this unit. They can see them, but there's an enemy in the way. You don't have to move chargers first, so they'll be able to scoot out of the way, and that charge will go through. And here's another pivotal moment. Now, these are some more of the Reavers. They're not the best in the world, but they're coming in with a rank. They're coming in with a banner. Okay, interesting situation. The light cav charged the other light cav. They did a stand and fire. Caught us enough to cause a break test. They broke and fled. This was a sub-general, which means that he has a variable range of influence. So I rolled his range, it was 2 inches. He rolled snake eyes. If they had rolled that snake eyes for them, they would have passed their test. So he was unable to influence because they were too far away. They rolled a 10. If his influence range had been good enough, they would have passed. As it was, they fled. They are now routing back here, and in fact, they will be dropping their standard and musician, because when you route, you drop your gear. All right, that was pretty unfortunate. They're going to have to start bringing some of their heavy infantry around the face. With good leadership, you can make 3 simple maneuvers pretty easily. You just have to pass a couple leadership tests. And I really like the movement phase in Warhammer 3rd Edition. Oh! All 1s and 2s. Damn, not good, boys. Buddies beside him are going to take a shot at it. They got 10 coming at him too. They've won. They dropped 4. 4 is enough for their current 8. They're good. Let's give some credit here. This unit of repeater crossbowmen walked across the mudflat of open ground, facing down 40 high elf elite archers. They killed 9 of them while on the move. They did take some losses, but they're within charging distance, and they protected the witch elves, and they're now within charging distance. The center unit had a spell of arrow invulnerability cast on it, so it's going to be able to avoid any missile fire at all. There's still 24 bow shots down at the end, 2 units of 12. To wound? None. They're starting to close the gap more and more. Here we go. Can they save 5? Who knows? Who knows? Can they save 5? No, they can't save any. Testing. Good. That was a bad round of shooting for the High Elves. The only unit that broke from shooting was their own Chargers. This is a brutal combat. Both units are elite. Both of them have initiative of 7. Both of them have lances. Now, the lance bonus is +2 initiative, +2 strength. It would be possible to work up some sort of countercharge house rule. And in fact, this type of ambiguous entry caused a lot of arguments back when I was playing in the 80s, but we're going to play it that only the unit charging gets to use the lance bonus. 3 lancers. We've got a hero, level 10, comes in with 3 attacks. Pretty nice. They need 5s to hit. They're charging, so they need 4s to hit, and the elite guy actually needs 3s to hit. Let's see how it goes. Miss, miss, miss. The champion at least hits. Now, 1 wound and just barely. Save on 3, so they need save on 4. Save on 4. Got it. Did nothing. Did nothing. Coming back at you. Same thing. However, they don't get the charge bonus. Instead, they get the hatred bonus, which gives them +1 to hit. Need 4s and 3s, same as before. Here we go. Dark Elves fighting back. They hit 1, 2, 3. So the hero needs a 3, the other guys need a 4 to wound, because they don't get a strength bonus. They all wound. 3 saves. Now these are unmodified saves, but these guys are unbarded. So their save, need 4s to save. Can they save? No. Right now it's a push, because you get a +1 to combat resolution when you charge. So right now it's a push, which it's not. However, these guys are rock'em and sock'em. They got a banner that adds +1 to combat resolution, and they got a musician that adds +1 to combat resolution. Oh, we haven't done the horses. Wait. Time out. Let's do the horses. No wound. Okay, so these guys are lost. They're going to fall back. They don't have to take a test because they have not lost by, they haven't lost 25% of their regiment. They're still okay. But that charge was very, very ill-fated. So they're going to go back about one base, and they're going to pursue and stay in contact. So now they're going to get a following up bonus. So they're going to get a following up bonus. They get a hatred bonus. They get a their banners. They're going to just mosh those guys up. Magic phase for the hell, because this guy's going to cast. He's going to throw the wind blast out. 2 points. Keep those guys from coming in on a. That wind blast was complete self-preservation. That wizard has got some guys breathing down his neck, and he needed to stop him some way. Okay, so the High Elves didn't do themselves any favors in their last turn. I'm just going to do a quick overhead summary here. I know that this isn't very high resolution because it's just an overview. So let's take a look. Dark Elves begin the turn with some cavalry right here, ready to chase down this skirmishers, which is going to have to flee. So that's going to take them off the board and wipe them out. They're gone. Lady Phase Dragoons are going to flee the table. By setting back, the skirmishers didn't really have enough room to move forward and then fall back firing. They kind of got pushed right off the edge of the table. Once again, that cage match I spoke of. You got this strong cavalry unit facing this cavalry unit. They've won the last turn, so they're going to get a following up bonus. This cavalry unit are Cold One Riders. Now, they have to announce a charge a turn in advance, which is a disadvantage, but they are vicious, cause fear, and do a lot of damage. It's a good thing they pivoted that two-handed weapon infantry in the back to be a backstop, because they're going to have their work cut out for them here in a minute. It's on the loose right now. That's going to prevent these hounds from rallying because it's the closest. This is a real positive for the High Elves, but unfortunately this is a summoned creature, so it usually only lasts 1 or 2 combat engagements before it leaves. These 2 units of elf archers that do not want to get into combat, but they're not really going to have a choice because they have some Dark Elf repeaters coming at them. They have 1 unit of 20 witches coming at them that hasn't been scratched, and another unit of 20 witches coming at them that haven't been scratched. So they're about to get slammed into. Lost their patience and decided to charge, but unfortunately they're further than 5 inches away, so they're going to get shot by 10 shots from elite bow fire. Now it's a charging unit. They need a whole 4 to hit. No, they need a whole 3 to hit because these are elite bowmen. Yeah, you guys should have really kept your cool. Every single guy hits. Make 5 saves. Here we go, 5 saves coming at you. You save 2, but still 3 guys are dead. Doesn't really make a big difference. They're just dead. This unit of crossbows is being held back by a wind blast. They're not going to be able to shoot or move ahead, and that's, going to hold them up for a little bit. So this unit is going to launch a charge, even though there's only 5 of them, and it seems like it would be suicide. But skirmishers cannot fight. Ooh, they're skirmishers. They have to flee. They have to flee. So they're going to have to go. So they're going to go 10 inches back.
Fleeing through here.
These guys are going to have a broken charge. Oh, wait a minute. They can hit the spearmen. They will hit the uncovered unit. Wham. That's not good for them. They're going to get stabbed directly in the face by spears. And let's not forget that we have heavy infantry back here, heavy infantry right here, here, and here that have not become engaged yet. Now, the High Elves still have a lot of their heavy infantry completely unscratched also, but they've had to commit over here, so their lines going in different directions. This is a group of infantry over here too. This crossbow unit is fairly unhurt. They're protected by arrow invulnerability, and they're being held up by a wind blast from the wizard who is right here. This unit of Dark Riders has barding, so they're tougher than they look, and they got those repeaters. They got this side blocked up pretty good, so whoever comes after him is going to get shot in the face, and whoever doesn't come after him is going to get shot in the face anyhow. Artillery back here hasn't really done anything. This artillery up here, I think, managed to kill one guy. And this Hydra over here, it's very slow, but it's ponderously making its way forward. And turn 3 summarized right there in a nutshell. Let's see what goes on. One of these years you're going to get charged by a Hydra, and you're not going to like it. Oh yeah, now these guys are going to start getting shot. Their screen's gone. They're about to get started. Where they're going to have to fight. They're not going to like it. The wind blast, I believe they have to make a strength test. They can move forward half speed, but we'll see about that little wind blast here. I believe the witches are going to square up on that dragon. But why can't they charge? This is one of the confusing areas of the rules that used to cause a lot of arguments back in the 80s. So you can do a right face and then charge, but you can't do it within 4 inches of the enemy. So in this case, because they're within 4 inches, they can't charge. However, they can do a right face, then test to make a second maneuver and extend by 2 models on each side, which they pass successfully. Then try to do their third maneuver, which is to extend on both sides, which they pass successfully. So the end result is that they are completely lined up on the dragon. But in this instance, a charge is not allowed because they are going to be doing their formation changes too close to the enemy. So that's kind of an important but odd, quirky little rule from 3rd edition that's hard to keep straight. One's going to come pouring ahead. Some more rules oddities. This looked to be further than 10 inches, so a charge was not declared at the start of the turn. However, they suffer from hatred of their enemy, so if they are within charge range, they have to test not to charge. I then had to measure it, and it was within range. So they should have announced, but they did not. So the only way they would charge is if they failed their hatred roll, which they did. So ahead they came. Interesting. Now you have to roll to see if they go into a frenzy or not. At first glance, it looked like they failed, but
The rules state that if you have a leadership bonus, you can use it to add or subtract from the chance of passing a test. So in this instance, they want to go into a frenzy. They missed it by 1. The leadership is going to drop it instead of increase it. So you can make it more or less likely that they're going to pass. So they went frenzy. Obviously, they're going to stand and shoot. They're going to get shot right in the face. Good luck, little witches. I don't think anger is a substitute for clothing in battle. But let's see if they save. They do not save, so 4 drop dead. 4 out of 20 is not a test, but they're frenzied, so I don't think they care. So we got a lot of special rules to put in. They got the hatred bonus and they got the frenzy bonus. They are not going to have they're not going to have kind words to say for these archers. Ay, ay, ay. These guys are going to shoot here. Failed 3, that's 25%. Horrifically bad news. Now let's see if they pass their panic test. They do. That was pretty iffy, guys. This becomes interesting because now it's simultaneous. Both sides have the same initiative, so it's going to be simultaneous combat. It is going to be just a complete dice fest for both these sides. However, Dark Elves have better armor, have hatred in following up, so they have +2. So, and they have an overlap too. They have 1 extra guy. This could be pretty bad for them. So let's see. We've got High Elves are saving on 4s. They save 2, they lose 2. So they're down 2 right now. They come back with 4 plus a leader. They got 1 hit. Ay, ay, ay. Not good at all. And they don't wound. Horse is save. No, the horse killed a guy. That's just insulting. Testing. Testing 1, 2. Let's see what it is. 8. They hold, but they are falling back. And of course, these guys are going to enthusiastically follow up. It's simultaneous, but let's look at this witches versus archers. If you've ever seen a worse matchup in your life, I don't know what you could call it. Here we go. Witches versus archers, right here. The witches charged. They lost 4 coming in. So the witches have frenzy. +1 to hit, +1 to wound, and +1 to saves. That's pretty good. But they also are charging, so they got +1 to hit, and they have a hated enemy. They got +3 to hit. So they hit on anything but a 1. But they're using 2 weapons. This is where it gets kind of confusing. And the weapons are generally -2, -1. So I'm going to get this out. They are 10 wide. Crazy. The archers don't have a leader. They're just archers. So they're going to get punched pretty hard here. Ay, ay, ay. I don't even know where to begin with this.
Okay, here's a quick rules explanation. So with similar weapon skills, you need a basic 5 to hit. With 2 weapons, you gain an additional attack. But your left-handed attacks are at -2, your right-handed attacks are at -1. You don't have to use both weapons. At any time you can choose to attack just as if you had a single hand weapon. Now in this instance, they're getting bonuses, +1 for charging, for hated foe, and for frenzy. So it's worthwhile for them to use both weapons, which is going to give them 9 attacks with the right hand needing 3, 9 attacks with the left hand needing 4. This is not counting the champion. They'll have an additional, they'll have different numbers because their weapon goes a little higher. But in this instance, this is pretty much the perfect circumstance for them. And plus, they're using poison, which will give them a strength of 4 on their hits.
2 threes with the right hand. Right-handed blows. All hit. They use a poison, so the strength 4, which means they need 3s. They're +1 to wound. They wound on 2s. 12 saves. 1 guy saved. So there's 9 guys left. 11 are dead.
Jesus Christ!
Just a complete catastrophe. However, since it was simultaneous, they're going to fight back. Need 5s to hit. They're not going to go down without a fight. You got 3 hits. To wound. 3 wounds. Good luck saving them, witches. Let's see how tough you are. They got +1 to save because of their frenzy. They saved 1. So they did do some damage. They got 2 of them back. Like I said, anger is a poor substitute for armor. Okay, that was horrific. They're going to be testing, obviously, because they lost 25%. They lost a round of combat. They're going to get pushed back. If they break, it's going to cause some issues big time. Let's see what happens. I'm going to roll it right here where you can see it. Right here. You can see this. 8. They're good. I mean, not literally good. They're just not running for their lives while being hacked to death by witches. Look at the bodies. So we've got a second combat. Right next to it. Need 5s to hit. The Dark Elves are charging and hatred. So right here, they're going to need, they get 2 bonuses. So the white dice are going to need 3s. Blue dice are going to need 5s. Rolling to wound. Both sides need 4s to wound. Both sides need 4s to wound. Team Blue is making 5 saves. Team Angry Dark Elves making 2 saves. Here we go. Light armor. 2 saves for Team Blue. So it's 3 versus 2. They lost 25%. They will be taking a break test. They'll have to fall back. Uh-oh. When you break from combat, every unit within 12 inches has to take a panic test.
All of the affected units are marked with an X. The general is underneath the circle, so he's going to be able to benefit some of these units. Plus he has the battle standard bearer, which will let him re-roll. But some of these are going to be a straight up roll of 8. Some units have a champion who will make it a 9.
This cavalry unit that's in combat, we're going to see if they pass. They have a leadership of 8. They have a commander, so they have 9. They only run away on a 10. They're good. These guys, same thing. Infantry unit that hasn't even been in battle yet, right here. They're gone. They're fleeing 10 inches. They're off the table. Okay, they're gone. It's worse than some horror slasher movie. Perfectly intact unit with two-handed swords standing right back here. They pass. The unit that's fighting. They pass by virtue of the leader. Wizard passes. Bolt thrower crews. Pass. Guard in the back. Pass. Okay, so let's move these. Oh, they got a free hack. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They get 7 free hacks. That automatically hit. They just got to roll a wound. Make 3 more saves. Oops, so that's 3 more dead. And they will be abandoning their standard. So I'm going to put this guy back. Now, you got to see how far they run. We're going to see how far they run by their movement. Their movement is the same, so they can't get away. So they're going to run 10 inches. They're going to be caught, and they have to follow. I mean, obviously, because they hate them, they have to follow through. And this is where it gets interesting. They get another round of free hacks. So they're just rolling to wound. They don't do very well. They only got 1. Save? No. So there's 4 guys left in this arch unit. They're gonna go off the table. Okay.
The Dark Elves seem to be carrying the day so far. I think if things don't turn around soon, this battle is going to be a pretty bad massacre. In the reserve phase, they moved forward with all their heavy infantry, and in the magic phase, they dispelled the wind blast for 3 points.
The Witch Elves, by expanding, I believe, are 10. No, that's just under 10. By about 1/8 of an inch, the Witch Elves are the closer unit, so they can attempt to rally. They do. Okay, just a quick overview. We got troops over here, troops over here. That unit's being swallowed up by multiple cavalry units. The dragon's still fighting. He's got 2 potential charge targets. The one straight ahead is obviously going to be the go-to. Over here, the witches are going to saw through those archers and they have to fight their way back here. These guys are loose in the backside. The guard are going to have to flank over to take care of them. We got these guys coming in. They're invulnerable to missile fire, which is going to be a problem. We got support coming in, support, more units. There is 2 completely fresh spear units back here. Got a significant number of skirmishers and some decent cavalry left. This cavalry unit is fleeing. They really need a turnaround in this turn, or it's going to be time to throw in the towel. And their left flank is completely overwhelmed. So they're going to have to divert some resources over there. I think it might be time to send in the cav. I don't see any other way around it. They're going to have to just go for broke, which happens as your situation deteriorates. You find yourself making more and more desperate choices. Desperation move number 1. This dragon is going to charge the back of this unit. Now, it's further than 4 inches away, so you can make maneuvers. He has 360-degree line of sight. He's going to do an about face and charge directly into the rear of these guys. That is going to cause them to take a panic test for a fear-causing enemy. It's also going to have some serious teeth going into the back of the unit. It's going to change the dynamics of that battle. fear test for being charged by a feared opponent. +2. Oh boy, you boys need a 7. You boys need a 7. You got it. Charge. Charge, charge, charge. Everybody's charging. It's just a bonsai freaking charge everywhere.
Yeah, things are getting a little bit crazy. I'll try to keep the information on everything I possibly can remember.
So the blue knights charged into those unit of halberdiers back there. These skirmishers came in and clipped those few survivors in the side. You're allowed to charge with skirmishers if you charge someone in the side or whatever. Observe this. You got to stay 1 inch away. There's just enough of a gap. They're going to thread through their single file and get to the rear of that unit. These guys are in trouble. They completely botched their stand and fire roll. They had been absolutely mauling 2 units of cavalry, but they botched the rolls. These guys are going to try to shoot the Hydra again. If not, they're going to be eaten. Otherwise, I believe the general is going to advance. And the guard, the maiden guard, are going to have to turn and begin reforming because these guys have killed the guys that they were pursuing. There's a unit of cavalry turned loose back here, medium cavalry. This unit is a monstrosity. It also has a magic banner and a magic instrument, musical instrument. This dragon absolutely needs to break this unit, or else it's really bad news for the High Elves. And the dogs have reformed, got another unit of angry women. It looked very bleak for the High Elves. They could possibly turn it around. They have to break this unit. They have to break this unit. I will dice it out and we'll see how it goes. Interesting predicament here. This unit has two-handed weapons, which is going to slow down their initiative. If the witches fight their way through these archers and get into them, they're going to go first and just mop them up. So they need to get out of the way and hope that the witches, which they must because they're really angry and they hate people, pursue them off the board and out of action. So we need to get this guy out of the way. He needs to get out of the way.
In this direction. So they're not 8 wide, they're 5 wide. But I'm going to test to expand again, which will let me put 2 on each side and put them back in that formation. They pass. So they did 3 maneuvers, which is the maximum number of maneuvers you can make. They had a musician, which allowed them to do that. They tested both times. They passed both times. They're now over here. They're out of the danger zone.
Spearmen are going to advance and form up into a tortoise formation in preparation for being shot viciously by these guys back here. I don't know if it's really worthwhile, but I made these markers. They're kind of easy to make. Just print them out. But you got a tortoise formation.
This unit back here. They're going to try to wheel from the center, which is a complex maneuver, but the general's right there. And they're going to just wheel around and face in that direction. They pass. Wheel from the center, complex maneuver. You can only make 1 complex maneuver per turn. That was theirs.
This is a merchant company, which means half spear, half bow. They're going to take a shot at the Hydra. The Hydra is a large target, which means that they're going to need 2s. Let's see what happens. I see a lot of 1s. Good job, guys. You get eaten by a Hydra, don't come whining to me. So we got a wound on the Hydra, finally.
The dragon only has an initiative of 3, so he's going to go after all of these elves. There are 6 elves up front. Again, they need 5s, hatred, following up. That was really unimpressive. To wound, it's no longer the first round, so they need 4s. Traditional saves. These guys are light cavalry. They do not have barding, and they only have light armor, but they will still save on a 4. Save them both. Wow, that was pretty good. We have 4 guys attacking the dragon in the back. The dragon's weapon skill is the same as theirs. They need 5s. They got 2, but the dragon has a pretty good toughness. He has a toughness of 5. They need 6s to wound. They get 1 wound. The dragon has no save. Not bad. So they did 1 wound. Coming back at them simultaneously, they got 4 and a hero. Coming back at them, they need 5s. Needing 5s. Well, that was pretty bad. Again, a plethora of 1s. 4s to wound. 2 wounds. 2 standard saves on the Dark Elf Cavalry. Neither. Ooh, got whack. Whack. Not good. Not good at all. Now the dragon gets to go. He gets 3 hits. Wounding on 2. Wounding on 2. 3 wounds, and there is a -3 to the save because of his incredible talons and bite. So these guys save. He is 6 to save. I don't know, guys. I don't know. No. Okay. This gets kind of complicated. If you are attacking and fighting a fear-causing enemy, and you gets pushed back by said fear-causing enemy, you automatically break. But the fear-causing enemy has to do enough damage to have won the combat. They did 1 to the dragon. He did 3 back to them.
Okay, so I did the math on this a couple times because I wanted to make sure that this was done correctly. The dragon did 3 plus its charging, so it has a total of 4 points in this combat resolution. The Dark Elves have a banner. They also have a war banner, so that's 2. They also have a battle call musician, so that's 3. They did 1 wound, so that's 4. So the dragon only got a push. There's no automatic route. The High Elf Cavalry also did a wound, so they did lose the combat, but they didn't lose it just by the fear-causing enemy, so there's no automatic route. Very close call for them, but they seem to be catching all the very close breaks.
This. It's simultaneous. What they can do? They need 5s. 2 saves for the witches. They get a frenzy bonus, so they need 5s. They do not save, so they drop 2 of them. You got 9 right hands, 9 left hands. Heroes is right here. Following up, hatred, frenzy. So they start with a 5. It goes to a 4, 3, 2. And because they're using 2 weapons, it goes down to a 3. 3 with the right hand, 4 with the left. Right hands first. Miss, 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 miss. All hits. Left hand, need 4s. Do, 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 do. Rolling to wound. Their toughness, because they're using poison, they act as strength 4, so they need 3s to wound. Miss, miss, miss. Poison inflicted 3 more. So we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 saves. Light armor, need a whopping 6. You can do it. No, they cannot. So there's 3 guys left alive. And another break test. Ice cold. But the witches are coming at him. I think they're going to wrap around a little bit too to get an extra couple of blows in. We have another big combat down here. And this one could get interesting. There's going to have to be some really good die rolls here. This cavalry unit charged in. They're elite. The guys on foot are not. Mounted versus foot, if you have a hand weapon, is +1, but with the lance, it's not going to help. But you got charging, you got elite, so they're 5, 4, 3. They need 3s. It's saved, so they lost 2. Need 5s. Still need 5s. That is pretty extraordinary. 5 hits. Lost by 1, it doesn't matter. They get pushed back 2 inches. I believe they're going to test to not follow up. So here we go. Test to not follow up. They failed. So they pursue. All right, the elves are running out of last ditch opportunities. And this might be it for them. So they're charging in, but this time they've got Mr. Sub-Commander. They're going to have a lot of attacks. They're going to have good attacks. You've got to hit this unit and break them and send them fleeing. Wow, just one guy down. Good going so far, lads. Good going. And they pass. So we're just going to push 2 inches. Bam. He's going to pump it up with some extra magic points, so he's got a couple extra fireballs. I'll throw 3 fireballs into there.
Okay, this is the situation at the start of the Dark Elf turn 4. At this point, we could probably call the game, but there's a couple of situations that I want to resolve that may swing things. This combat over here, there's a good chance that that cavalry unit will break and then cause a panic test over here and cause a panic test back here. You know, it's a pretty slim chance, but it's a possibility for that to happen. Secondary thing, this unit of guard with spear have a really good chance of stopping these witch elves because they're going to go first, probably kill a lot of them and reduce their number of attacks. So they might be able to restore this situation here, but
conclusions were all wrong, Brian.
the rest of everything looks pretty bleak. This cavalry is never going to break through that infantry for a long period of time. These skirmishers, you know, they're loose, but there's just not enough of them to do anything. This fight down here is not going to go well because this Hydra is going to be able to come in and join the fight. And other than that, there's really no... They need miracles at this point. So we're going to do one more turn to see if they get any of those miracles. Because I just kind of want to see what happens when this guard meets this weakened unit of witches, because I want to see if they can, you know, just how that rolls, and I want to see what happens in this combat down here. So we're going to do one more turn, but I'm already thinking that this is about over.
Charging the dragon. Testing not to charge. Good. They won't charge. Do they go into a frenzy? Let's see.
This Hydra was too slow to charge, but it positioned itself to charge into the flank later. In the shooting phase, those crossmen unleashed onto the artillery crew, killing 3 crew and wounding the wizard. The wizard probably should have kept up his wind blast, but I think it was a worthwhile gamble to try to break him with magic. It just failed. Okay, I'm going to go through this combat pretty quick here. The High Elves scored a lot of hits because they were following up, but the Dark Elves out barding and they managed to save every hit. They took no losses from the elves that were fighting them, and they inflicted some losses back, and they lost 1. Now here's where it gets one of those odd situations. The horses were fighting, and the Dark Elf horses actually killed 2 of the High Elf cavalry. So the High Elves lost 3 cavalry, 2 of them to horses, just absolutely adding insult to injury. So they're down 3. They did none back. The dragon's going to fight against the cavalry. It has a -3 save modifier, so it's probably going to chew through that. It does kill 3 of the cavalry, and the witches do nothing. They used just 1 weapon instead of 2, but they still were unable to wound the dragon. So we got a situation where it's 3 losses versus 3 losses, but the banner and the musician, the magic banner and the magic musician, is going to make the difference, and the High Elves are going to lose this combat, and the cavalry are going to have to take a break test.
I don't know if you can see that. That is an 11. So they have failed. They break and run.
The free hat kills another 2, but they are faster, so they do get away. There's only 1 guy left, so he's gone.
So here comes witches. Let's do the what we call the good guys. And they miss with all of them. Now let's see what the witches do. 1, 2, 3. We need 6s. They do not. So they've been completely eliminated from combat. Killed to the last man.
Up here, the High Elves need some really good luck, and they don't get it. They kind of botch the die roll, and they actually manage to just kill a single figure in the infantry unit. And then coming back, the infantry unit has a lot more attacks because they're closer together. So they get quite a few hits, and they have to make some saves.
Fail, fail. 2 failed.
So they're down 25% from their starting strength at the beginning of the game. They lost a round of combat. They're going to get pushed back. So they're going to have to take a test, and they're outside of 12 inches of the general. So this is going to be a straight-up test on 9. Yep, they were further than 12 inches, further than his range. Yeah, they do manage to pass the test, but they're not good because they're followed up now. They are faster, so they could withdraw from combat in their next turn if they wanted to, because that's just an absolute losing situation for them. With follow-up and hatred, the Dark Elves are going to just massacre them. Down here, the High Elves do pretty well. One of the advantages of being an elite is that their initiative is actually one better, so they get to go first in this combat. And they killed 3, so that's 3 less that can strike back. Also, the Dark Elves, they lose the ability to skirmish, but they're actually, have barding, so they have a decent save. So they saved about half the wounds that they took. And then they don't have war horses, they just have regular horses, so the High Elves had horse attacks back. But really what it was just 3 guys dead, and then they had to take a test, which it's an unmodified test. So they actually passed, and they stood their ground, and this is just going to go on. Yeah, unable to break units has really just been plaguing the High Elves. They need to break some guys, they need to cause some panic tests, and so far, the only thing that has failed has been the Chaos Hounds and the Animal Handlers. So these guys stand strong.
You push back 2 inches. I don't notice.
They're not making a whole lot of progress. This Hydra is going to be a nuisance. I think it can be taken out over here, but it's a solid block of infantry back there, and this cavalry unit did not break. So they're trying to fight their way through. They're pushing and pushing to get through. Over here, this cavalry unit just totally gutted. I think they killed 3 or 4 guys, and they're bogged down against halberds. They're going to be chopped up. They're only medium cavalry. Most of the High Elves only have medium cavalry. Only one unit can actually have barding.
So we've got dragon versus witches. Witches have initiative. They do not wound, so they do absolutely nothing. Now here comes the pain. So unless this dragon really botches, he's going to kick ass. Does get a 1. So he kills 3. There's no save because there's a -3 to the save. So he kills 3. So he's got 3. They got a rank. They got a standard. And they won last time, so they're following up. So they had 1, 2, 3. He had 3. It's a push. So there we go. That ends that mess.
Okay, this little fight, both sides whiffed their die rolls completely. It was a charge into the flank. The standards cancel each other out, and you get a +1 combat resolution for charging. So in this instance, they actually win the round of combat. The High Elves can't count ranks unless they have 4 guys wide fighting. Now, obviously, they haven't taken enough losses to take a test, so they're not going to have to take a test. They're just going to get pushed back. And they're going to be kind of stuck here because their heavy armor makes them slower than the Dark Elves, so they can't get out of this fight. They're sort of stuck. They need someone else to come along and help them out. I think we can pretty much skip the High Elf turn 4. Not a whole lot happened except a bunch of inconsequential combat. I kind of went into overtime a little bit because I wanted to see what happened when the witches fought the guard and when the Hydra got into combat. So let's just review that end of things and finish this game. Watch this charge of the Witch Elves. They go in unformed because they wield within 4 inches of the enemy at the end of their charge. Sometimes it's worthwhile to take that. You have to weigh the pros and cons of it, but frequently it's just worth it to go for it.
Bad tactics, Mr. Ryan.
So how does this crossbow unit charge this wizard without running into this shield wall? Simple. They're outside of 4 inches at the beginning of their turn. They conduct 3 movement maneuvers by retracting 2 guys from that side 3 times, which lets them go 6 guys from that time. They had to take past tests, they succeeded. Even if they had failed any of those tests, they would have still charged, just been unformed. A worthwhile risk.
Bad tactics, Mr. Ryan.
Horrific, if I'm going to be honest with you. 3 guys trying to punch this guy. They hate his guts, they charge. He does not save, so he's dead. He will get the fight back for whatever good it does him. His initiatives are the same. He does not hit. His initiative's 8, so he's going to go first, but he's only got 1 attack. See what he does. 6, he hits. Does he wound? 6, he wounds. Did they save? 3, they do not. He kills somebody. Good on you, buddy. Good on you. You got 2 guys coming back at you who hate your guts. They charge and they hate. So that's 2 hits. It's 1 wound. Can he save? Because he's mounted. He can save. Maybe save. Maybe save. No, he doesn't save. So this guy now has 2 wounds on him. 1 from getting shot, 1 from getting stabbed. So he lost 50% of the unit, basically. So he's going to take a test to say, hey, I'm going to run away because I don't like this BS that's going on with my face here. He is happy. Guard. So they are +1 shock elite. Their peers give them advantage of initiative in the first round of combat. And they get an extra rank fight. And it's the second rank fights because they have spears. So we've got a leader in there. You should have calmed yourself down instead of hurling yourself directly into a line of spears to be stabbed in the gut. Oh, they got a war banner as well. Oh my goodness, what a devastatingly bad roll. Got a roll to wound, they got 5 hits. Are you kidding me? One save, 5 or 6. No save. 1 guy's down. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, you're probably going to wish you had rolled a little better than that here in about 10 seconds, because you are about to get ripped a new one. How in the world are you going to save all these? Needing 6s. 2. So 8 are dead.
Conclusions were all wrong, Ryan.
So why should you play big battles in Warhammer 3rd edition? With lots of troops on the table, no single event is going to end your chances. You have a chance to recover from things. It's generally a gradual erosion, but there's no, one spell, bam, the game's over. 1 charge, bam, the game's over. That's one of the nice things about playing the big battles. Number 2, you're going to see more variety of troops because you have to fill these points up, and the army builder list in 3rd edition caps out on a lot of the troops. So once you take all the favorites, you still got extra points to use, but you just can't keep taking, more and more of the same. In later versions, the army list just says something like 10 plus. So if you have 1 trillion hobgoblins or 1 trillion snotlings, you can take them. But in 3rd edition, you're going to max out, and so that you're going to have to spend your points on other things. Which is why there's a merchant company in the list for this particular battle, because, ran out of slots for spearmen, and the archers were already maxed out, the elite archers. So merchant company lets you field something that I've never fielded before. In number 3, it just looks like a proper battle. You got wings, you got ranks, you got troops moving around, you got just a lot of stuff, and it just kind of looks good. But it plays slower, but what's your hurry? This is your hobby. This is what you prefer to do. I can understand trying to wash the dishes quickly or get the grass mowed quickly, but when you finally get a chance to do something that you want to do as your preferred hobby, what's your rush? Okay, so why play 3rd edition? Number 1, it is a complex game. I grew up on some of the complex games, and I don't mind them. I like getting your head wrapped around some situation where you have a lot of choices and things like that. So I like the complexity. Number 2, the game is already dead. You don't have to worry about the company coming along and killing your game. It's already dead. So you got that going for you. 3, it has a cult following. And stuff that is old that has a cult following, it generally there's a reason for it. There's a reason why there's still brown coats out there and Trekkies and things like that. It's just a part of, you know, your youth, and you just kind of stay with it. Number 4, your regiment will last. If you paint up a group of guys and they get plowed into and break and run instantaneously and then all get hacked down within seconds, it's kind of frustrating. Now, a unit can panic. Their panic tests, a fresh regiment will run away. But in combat, they got to kill at least 25% of their starting number before you start taking break tests. I love that. Just like where the army lasts a bit in a big battle, in 3rd edition, your regiment can last a little while. They got to be ground down. Now, again, if you're in a rush, this ain't the game for you. But I love that feature. Number 5, there are no rerolls, with few exceptions. Like, I believe the Battle Standard Bearer lets you reroll. There's a couple of banners. But for the most part, you're not rerolling to hit rolls, to wound rolls, armor saves, blah, blah, blah. This gives you more of a chance to build a narrative. And as you can see in this battle that I just filmed, there definitely was a narrative for a couple of the regiments. And just like in the previous battle report, that one Noblies or whatever goblin unit, they made themselves a hero. They made a story. And that's one of the things that I like about 3rd edition without the rerolls. You're not like on rails. You're not being driven down a plot line. You're not forced to follow the formula of the designers. You name your own characters. It's more of a sandbox. So that's why you might want to try 3rd edition. I've done a series of these videos. This will probably be my last one for a while, because I've pretty much explained everything as best as I know. I'm not a professional. I'm just a fan. I probably got a lot of things wrong, but I've really tried to put out some tutorials because there wasn't a lot of content on YouTube for 3rd edition, and this can help somebody just trying to get into it. But there you have it. If anyone's playing 3rd edition, you want to leave a comment, that'd be great. But other than that, have a good one, everybody.
Conclusions were all wrong, Brian.